All right, let's whip through the rest of these stories. Human Head shut down. Developer of, back in the day, the original Prey.
Yeah.
Rune, that rude-ass Viking game where you could cut all the heads and limbs off.
Mm-hmm.
Human Head is like a name.
The Quiet Man. Just say it. Just say The Quiet Man.
A different era, let's say.
But also the era of the studio that just got shut down.
I'm trying to recall what's the halcyon days of... I mean,
they made the Prey 2 that didn't happen.
Right. Well, but like Human Head is a name from back in the day of like kind of the sort of Quake and Unreal spawned studios that made games like
one of those like smaller shops that was like
big in the first person shooter space.
Yeah. Did they ever do did they do like a Quake expansion? Did they do one of those?
Might have. Like that's exactly
that was like Nerve and but like that's Human Head seems like that type of studio.
Right. That was
or that type of lineage.
I kind of want to look it up now real fast to see if I can find out. Also, they just shipped Rune 2 like hours before announcing this.
Game's done. Bye.
Which is
buy it or don't, I guess. I don't know.
Sorry, I was just scrolling through their old games. I don't see any Quake expansions.
Then forget it.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation because they shipped Rune 2 and then shut down like immediately.
Yeah.
But the entirety of the studio, like they've explicitly said, every person who worked there is now an employee of a new studio owned by Bethesda.
Okay. Where does that leave people who bought Rune 2?
I have no idea.
Like, was my understanding is like that game might need some work.
I haven't tried the final version yet. I know you got to see a preview version of it.
Yeah.
I love the first Rune. I kind of wanted to check the new one out, but
yeah, it seemed like it had some interesting ideas. It seemed, it seemed because it was unfinished.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like I wonder, like that. Will this new studio support Rune 2?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any real
they just like shut down and liquidate assets, and
I don't know.
They sell it all to Bethesda for a song and change the name to
maybe
run away from some debt or something. I have no idea. Like, because that would be the thing, right? Like, why wouldn't you just buy Human Head as they tried to do some time ago?
Right.
And also, is that weirdly sad in a way because of like the strong arm tactics that
makes this even weirder? Yeah, because there is that history where they got deep into a Prey 2 project and then the whole thing got shut down. And there was some scuttlebutt that it didn't go well in some way.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but all those people still have jobs making games. It's just that they're doing it for Bethesda now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes out of that. Anthem. Hang on, let me try this on for size. Anthem Next. How about this? Anthem.
Okay, I think you're mispronouncing it. That's Anthem Next.
How about Anthem 2.0?
Next. Anthem 2?
I think they're on Anthem 1.5 already.
Maybe, actually.
Another Anthem.
The story out of BioWare from Jason Schreier is that a massive effort is underway to basically remake Anthem as gut it and revitalize it. Those are the terms that he says people are throwing around internally to describe what they're doing. Actually, reading this story, the most interesting part to me is that it sounds like maybe BioWare Austin is leading this effort.
Well, they were supposed to be the live team for it.
Yeah, that's why it is interesting to me. I mean, it sounds like there are plenty of people in both studios thinking about / working on this right now.
Yeah.
But he does make it sound like that effort is going to transition more toward Austin as time goes along.
Mm-hmm. That would make some sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't I think it's been very easy to look at every Anthem patch as like, well, that's probably the last one of those, and they're never going to make good on any of this stuff.
Especially the way they kept failing to mention the game in earnings calls and stuff like that.
Right, but if the story is that they're just going to go dark for a long time and basically like put the IP up on blocks and fucking replace every part of it, they must really believe in this whole idea of flying fucking robot suits. That's all I gotta say. Like, it's a good idea.
No, I think the framework is good
idea.
And like we've seen games like, I think the best example of this recently is Final Fantasy 14, right? Where it's like
Oh yeah.
over time, they started turning it into something that people actually cared about. And
Well, that was more of
That
a
was
big
less over time and more like
relaunch.
apology, and we got to put this thing back out. Which
that sounds a little bit like this.
But I mean, they essentially made a new game there. Like Realm Reborn is practically a
But
new
like
game.
some of the stuff that if you get into that story, some of the stuff that he's throwing around in that story really kind of
like,
makes it
wasn't he
sound like
saying-
they're making a
They're talking
new
about
game.
mechanically gutting the entire game,
and
And I
like-
think something on Twitter that he pointed out that was exceptional for this in terms of BioWare was like art, like getting like massive amounts of new art and stuff, like getting teams to contribute like that don't normally contribute.
Yeah. Like I think there are interesting little structural things you could do that might, lighten the load on some of the things around the existing game, like the idea of just like, oh, we're gonna chop the open world up into zones.
right?
Like okay.
Yeah, they're talking about rebuilding
But-
the loot system, the mission objectives, like the.
Like I think
the whole kind
that's the sort of thing
experience
though.
thing.
Yeah, that's the problem though. If this is a project that they're thinking about in terms of like we got to rebuild the loot system, they've been saying that since launch day. This has to be like literally we're going to tear this whole thing apart, and maybe when we're done, there's no such thing as Fort Tarsus, or maybe there's no such
Yeah, it's
or
possible.
whatever. Like
Yeah.
I feel like more needs to be on the table
This
to
says-
be thrown out or rebuilt.
Yeah, the details are hazy, but among other things, the game's developers plan to overhaul the loot, the quests, the social aspects of the game, the difficulty, the progression system, and the world map.
The guns, the robot
Which is
suits, the
practically
water,
the
the
entire
cliffs.
game.
See, that's the thing,
animals.
though. If on that list is something like difficulty, like you're talking about the difficulty of an existing game, and I'm saying if you're thinking about an existing game, you've already fucked up.
Well, I mean, like
the
they
basic
might be
aiming
thinking
and
about.
shooting works.
Yeah,
in
they
that.
also might be thinking about the idealized version of the game, right? The
Sure.
game that they set out to make.
I guess, but I think at this point, like what I would view as an idealized version of that game doesn't include the story or content of the current game. By and large, maybe you repurpose some areas and that sort of stuff, but
It's possible.
yeah. But if you're looking at this and going like, we put 2 more enemies here, we changed this difficulty,
no,
and now
no.
the loot's better.
I think
who cares?
it sounds
Like,
more pervasive than that.
Yeah,
but I'd be
yeah.
surprised if they threw out like the whole campaign or anything.
But
like that.
it needs to be like something so structural that it's like, okay, we don't have that weird hangar social space. We actually turned the city area into
Right.
a real social space.
Right. Or just built a whole new city or
Or
something.
built a whole new
or-
city
yeah.
that's not first
Yeah.
person and all
Yeah.
that stupid crap. Like that, like all the little side characters and story stuff there, I'd probably toss all that. Or at least like
repurpose
have
it
the
in-
option to toss all of it and
Yeah.
see if like as you're building it, you're like, actually, we could fit this character and this little
Right.
plot line back in here.
It's something that you could preserve as a small piece of a much bigger whole. Basically.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to flush it all, but there needs to be way more than that.
Yeah.
There's some other kind of choice quotes. Here's one about how they might roll it out. They're still figuring out whether updates should be released all at once or over an extended period of time. Anthem could be overhauled through a series of updates a la No Man's Sky. It could get a game-changing expansion like Destiny's critically acclaimed Taken King. They're they're even considering releasing Anthem Next as a brand new game, although those who work on the project said that could take a lot of forms, and it's unlikely they'd charge full price to Anthem players.
They shouldn't charge anything to Anthem
yeah,
players.
they-
I
Anthem
agree.
players should get like Anthem Next and a game of their choice at this point, right? I mean,
Oh, I assume they like sweeten the pot with some cosmetic shit or something.
yeah.
Yeah. But the cosmetic system in that game is pretty good. Like
Yeah,
it's pretty robust.
To the point where you like, what cosmetic shit would you give to somebody because the system's already pretty good? Yeah, that like. I think the only thing that I think sounds interesting is the idea of that being almost a separate product, like that level of overhaul
Yeah.
of like, okay, we've taken the spirit of this thing, we've taken some of the basic universes, like the universe's basic building blocks, shaper artifacts and that sort of shit, and we have made a different game with that stuff. Like
Yeah.
you will recognize the way the leg drags a little bit when you're flying around, but everything else is
Yeah.
different, you
The
know?
burst of sparks when you snap into the flight mode is still
Yeah.
there, like the cool part.
Like, yes, like something like that is the sort of stuff you keep.
Yeah.
But everything down to like every weapon in that game, I would at least like the whole system. Like, yeah, reworking the loot should probably include a full overhaul of like what you equip and don't equip and all that sort of stuff. I just think there, like, if you really were able to take the time and look at that thing and say, how do we do this right? It becomes like to me anyway, as an outsider looking in, like that's a full game. Like you're making a new game at that point.
Yep.
You get a head start because you've got assets and you've got a universe and you've got some of that stuff already done. But dude, I wouldn't keep most of that stuff. I would not keep that open world.
Yeah.
I would not keep the area outside the fort. I just don't think it's that interesting.
Yeah.
There's some nice looking parts of it that maybe you repurpose for a different thing.
Yeah.
A
Maybe
waterfall here, a cave there.
take pieces of it and build something better with it.
But like zoning that thing up doesn't fix it. You know, it's that would be an interesting problem to be able to solve.
It's like
to tackle. Like,
Yeah.
like, okay, if you could take this thing that is full of moving parts already.
Yep.
But I also think that like that's, you know, it shouldn't be a series of updates, right? That should be boom, here it is.
Yeah.
Like you
totally,
can't put out one update that say and then say, and in the future we're going to fix this.
I think
Like
they've
spent so much time saying in the future we're going to fix this that this has to be like a fucking full on drop. Fuck you. The patch for this game is uninstalling the original game and downloading an entirely new game in its place.
I think they've got exactly one chance to
Yes.
change people's minds.
Yeah.
Like they've got one more chance to impress people.
And it's got to be
they can't trickle this
huge and
stuff out.
flashy.
Yeah.
They've got to have a weird way about doing it because they've burned up so much goodwill that this has to be. They have to be all the way in on day one with it and fucking overhaul it all.
I should have looked this up, but do you know what the state of the Old Republic is? Like, I know an expansion either just came out or is about to, but wasn't there some talk of that winding down to some degree?
I thought, there was a little bit kicking around, but I
that
wondered, has not happened. And EA still has the Star Wars license,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem like that's
like the reason I ask is I wonder if this could be something that BioWare Austin is able to spend like a bulk of its time on for the foreseeable future.
right. Well, we don't know the size of that studio, and if they have plenty of people to handle Old Republic and also handle, you know, what Anthem becomes.
Also, like from the sound of the story, they're just speccing the stuff out now, so it's easy to see new consoles being on the market by the time all this stuff comes to fruition. So maybe,
That's
what does that look like?
mess, right? Like, are you? But that also gives you like a chance to kind of wipe a little bit of a slate clean and say, here's the next Anthem, and everyone who bought Anthem gets to come along for free.
Yeah,
and then present it as just like, here's, don't call it Anthem 2.
Yeah, maybe it ends up being free to play. Who knows? Like, seems like a bunch of different ways.
they could go in that direction.
There's plenty of games now that are calling themselves 2 and not actually change. Like, you got Fortnite 2, you got Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, the Path of Exile 2 stuff is really interesting because it's like kind of a sequel, but kind of compatible with the first
like the
game. I mean,
same-
like Overwatch is doing practically the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Worst new trend.
Yeah.
Fake sequels.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's an okay, like in terms of just like, hey, you, the player of the existing game, are going to get some/all of this content.
Yeah.
But call it something else. Don't put a 2 on there unless it's a new game.
That's just the only reason there's a 2 on there is so they can put it on shelves and get people who don't follow the game day to day. The people who follow the game day to day will forget. And to them, it'll just be Overwatch 2.0, just the way that when they do Overwatch 3 and do the exact same thing again,
It's not the same.
it'll be like, it'd be like, it's like issuing a battle pass. It's like a season of content, you know?
Where they call it season 2.
Just imagine that the word season is in there.
No.
I'm with you that a full-on
Because I was the one saying like 9 months ago or something, hey, what's going to happen when they do Overwatch 2? And people were like, they would never make an Overwatch 2. And I'm like, bull fucking shit. They won't write Overwatch 2 on a box and put it on shelves someday.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And I think the way they've done it is a way that is like good for existing
I feel
players.
like Overwatch 2 is fine.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother thing. As opposed to like, it's in the Overwatch 1 client. And you launch it, and it's called Overwatch 2.
But it's not. It's the Overwatch client upgrades to Overwatch 2.
Wait, what?
Like, it is not in the Overwatch.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
there's
that's
only one
bad.
client.
Yes.
Why is that bad?
Because it's the same thing. It's not a 2.
The game you play today will be patched and upgraded with a ton of additional content for $0 additional dollars, and you can go opt to spend some more if you want to get like whatever they consider the premium Overwatch 2 experience to be. There's no downside to that.
Oh, no. I'm saying Overwatch 2 is good. They should call it Overwatch 2. I'm saying like the way Path of Exile and Fortnite have done it are bad. Where it's,
well, Fortnite called it Chapter 2, and that's like whatever.
They're cheating. They had a giant 2. That's cheat. They knew what they were.
But the chapter was small.
They knew exactly what they were doing by putting a giant 2 there.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. And it's genius.
And it is genius, and I'm mad about it.
But it's like a live game. Like, who cares what they call it? I think Path of Exile is the same thing. Like, if you're going to have a live game and go for a good long time, this is better than when Marvel Heroes decided, like, we're going to put the year on the end. Or whatever, like change the name of the game 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, that was just clunky and fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Overwatch 2 stuff is fine.
This is exactly what I have quietly been hoping to hear about Anthem, to be perfectly honest. Like, this is all I needed to hear to like kind of start rooting for them. Just this is exactly what I was thinking about earlier when I said people like a redemption story.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the world where they turn this thing around to the extent that like a Final Fantasy 14 did or something. Or even a Destiny, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it would be cool to have another...
But Destiny didn't have to eat shit the way that Final Fantasy or Anthem did. Like, Destiny 1 at its low point was not this low.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Final Fantasy was like fucking producers walking out of there going like, yeah, we fucking fucked up.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's a story.
And that was a case of like the brand not being able to withstand that level of damage, right?
Yeah.
Like, Final Fantasy is too valuable a name to
Right. So for a game that they had like scoped out to be like, well, this is going to be X amount of dollars for this many years because it's an MMO.
Right.
For them to have fucked it up that bad, they're like, well, we got to.
They had to fix it.
Either we shut it down now and walk away, or we spend more money and hope for the best, and it fucking paid off.
Right. Like, Anthem is not some storied 30-year IP that they have to come in and fix. They could have very much just quietly walked away from it.
But the BioWare name and EA's good name took too much damage. Yeah. From Anthem and a variety of sources, right? I mean, you know, the EA, all the Battlefront stuff, the last Need for Speed, that, like, you know, they've been hit really hard. They've made some bad moves.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they're at a point where they're like, we can't just walk away from everything.
We have to fix this. We have to make good. Yeah. Last thing real quick, just kind of almost as an aside at the end of the story, says this. BioWare is still invested in role-playing games in addition to the much-anticipated Dragon Age 4, which BioWare teased last year. A new Mass Effect game is in very early development at the Edmonton office under director Mike Gamble, a longtime BioWare producer.
I guess you gotta.
So, who knows how far off that is. I mean,
right, yeah. I mean, if Dragon Age is like, what, 2021 or 2?
They said Dragon Age is years away.
I've seen a lot of Andromeda apologists popping up recently. A lot of people are like, it really wasn't that bad.
It's not that good.
Don't listen to those people.
Yeah.
I was reading a discussion of that game recently where some people were talking about doing like good and bad playthroughs of that game and talking about how absolutely no variation exists outside of the responses you give and like one, you know, tinged line of dialogue, either positive or negative, and then everything plays out exactly the same otherwise. Like, they were just making it sound like a bunch of like smoke and mirrors approximating the actual choice of a Mass Effect.
Great.
Like, that game had deep problems outside of the bugs. But I fucking love Mass Effect, so I hope this goes well.
What would you do with Mass Effect at this point? If you were Mike Gamble.
Let me rephrase that. I loved Mass Effect, and I'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Garrus side story.
I have no idea.
Do you think that would be... Do you think that's the smart... I mean, that's like the Half-Life Alyx move, right?
Yeah. Ease us back into it.
Yeah.
You know, set the bar low. This takes place between 2 and 3, and you're Garrus on some space station.
Make that Citadel private eye game that we always talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like, is that enough?
God.
I don't
envy the people who have to make these decisions and come up with these ideas.
I think they have to, like we were saying with Half-Life, I think they have to like get realistic expectations set from as many people as they can, make something good to decent to good, and then from there you can like really start building up that hype train for a Mass Effect 4, for an Andromeda 2. I don't think you can call it that, but you know, for like a full Mass Effect.
Sure. I just You'd like to think that like that project only happens because there's someone there
who has an idea,
who made the pitch and said, that. No, I know we can do this. Yeah. And they believe in it so strongly. Like, you want to at least think that there's like that deep level of like attachment and connection and passion for that thing, that they're just like, I am going to fucking unfuck Mass Effect. Someone has to. It's like the Street Fighter 4 story about how they were afraid to make that game for years and years, and that Ono ended up doing it. And the thing we heard it for years after Street Fighter 3, before Street Fighter 4, was just like, Street Fighter was something no one wanted to touch because everyone was afraid they would fuck it up. And no one wanted to be the guy who killed Street Fighter.
Yep.
So they just said, and Capcom has done this to fucking death with every franchise they have.
I was going to say, oh no, saved Street Fighter so he could kill it again.
Totally. Yeah, doing a great job. Champion Edition.
Oh, yeah. Gil, baby.
Gil. That's your...
You know, the character that's banned and like nobody ever fucking played.
Yeah.
He's back.
We're going to make right on Gil. And one more character, because that's 39.
Yeah.
They said it'd have 40.
Yeah. And Bison 2.
Who's it going to be? Okay.
I would say, who's missing at this point? Is there... I mean, this is
Vega in there?
Yeah, Vega's in there.
Honda's in there now.
Balrog's in there.
Yeah.
Sagat's in there.
I mean, the full 16.
DeCapra.
This is me. I'm gonna make more poop noises with my face for a while.
Mike is the name of that guy who punched the other guy at the beginning of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Mike. Not M. Bison, not Boxer, not Balrog. Mike. That announcement got me though. Honestly,
the championship edition,
because they called it Champion Edition. It was like, well, I'm gonna look and see what this is. And for a minute, I was like, I can play Ryu versus Ryu now. That's crazy. Plays the bosses. This is ridiculous. And then I looked at it. I was like, oh, new V skills for every character. I don't think right. I don't actually care.
Yep.
Good on them.
It's the exact same arc I went through.
Yeah.
Okay, I started to continue talking about a new Mass Effect,
but no, like that. So anyway, but that's the thing, right? Is like if,
or are we just going to do it?
Like, well, yeah, like Mass Effect needs that
lock
champion.
The door. We're not leaving until we solve Mass Effect.
That's right. Until we figure out. Fucking,
all right, top 4 Mass Effects. Go. Wait a minute.
It's
does
2.
Does that mobile game count? Let's
3.
Top 5.
2. 1. I would say 2, 1, 3.
Yeah.
Andromeda.
2,
right?
3, 1.
Like
Andromeda.
I'm with you, Ben.
Oh yeah, yes, that is the right order. There are things about 1 that I like that I feel like they kind of got away from, but 2.
But then also driving around the Mako.
2 is the best actual game. I feel like
2 is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes. Yeah, I have no fucking idea what you do with a new Mass Effect because it needs to be identifiably Mass Effect, but not just reiterate the same shit they've done all
right.
Because that's exactly what Andromeda did. You know, it's like here is a new Shepard stand-in who gets a new Normandy stand-in, and
it's like here's this like it had like this real fucking like made for TV Mass Effect.
And like I am like sick to death of the soft reboot and the like endlessly iterated corporate media franchise at this point. Which is another way of saying that I am impossible to please because I don't want them to do the same thing again.
But you also don't want them to ruin.
But I don't want it to
show
get too
up for
far
a new
away.
Mass Effect.
Right.
But at the same time, you think they shouldn't do another new Mass Effect.
So like I fully grant that I may be completely unreasonable here, but like it's a fine line to walk.
That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
You want to be wowed. You want to feel the feeling that you felt when you were like, oh shit, Mass Effect 2. Like what the. They're really doing something.
But you can't just do that again and create that same feeling.
But probably the right way to do that is to not make Mass Effect, is just to create some other new IP, but Anthem went the way it went. In a perfect world, Anthem is that game. Anthem is that franchise that.
And then Anthem 2 is like, holy shit, they really got
oh my God,
all the stuff.
This is like crazy from Anthem 1.
Yeah.
Can you believe this shit?
You don't have to drive the Mako anymore.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a world where Anthem 2 is like the most popular game on the market?
Sure, I feel like that's the absolute fucked up thing is, yes, I totally can.
Like, we deserve that after everything that's happened.
As a people. As a nation. Like, do you make a new story with Shepard in it? Do you find a way? Do you find some weird story way to continue after the events of Mass Effect 3.
That's probably what makes this even weirder is that franchise was ended in a way to definitively say there should be no more Mass Effect games. We're done.
Yeah. And they were right. And then they made another one.
Yeah.
You play as the young elusive man.
Okay.
Like they got Sheen back.
Yeah, like all right.
And it's like no, you know what? Okay, you know what?
Charlie Sheen.
Shadow Broker spinoff.
Yeah.
That's my pitch. Is like you're like working for the Shadow Broker as an agent, and you like start to, it's that way you can lean into the moralness. You can like go full all in, or you can like kind of fight it back against the shady shit that's going on. You get to meet some of the extended universe characters.
But like, is that set against the backdrop of Shepard doing his thing? Because I think
this is like a
that
super
automatically
prequel.
makes it smaller.
This is like, 20 years before.
You couldn't do that because wasn't Shepard the first,
Yes.
like humans in space, like
Yes.
the timeline of it doesn't work out in a way
Oh,
where
I thought they were around.
you wouldn't play as a human character
they were
20
kind of,
years.
They were very looked down upon until
Don't be a
Shepard
human
came along.
character.
Yeah, but like, I think you need to, they're not going to, you would have to be able to be a human character.
That's why like Star Wars doesn't have a protagonist that's like a funny alien or a cool designed alien. It's a human, right?
So you can like insert yourself as the human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Mass Effect 2? 2.
Okay.
There we go. Now, do I have to launch it from inside Mass Effect 2, or is this its own thing?
It's a free update for Mass
Does
Effect 2.
it get a page on our wiki or not?
It's a release. It's a release under there. I think anything set during the original trilogy timeline is automatically going to feel too small.
Yeah.
Like if you want some grand return from Mass Effect, it has to feel as big as a mainline game. So I think they were right with that one idea of Andromeda about like we need to get away from that trilogy so that it can't influence the stories we want to tell.
Right.
But then they had no story to tell.
They
when
literally
got there.
traveled to another galaxy to do basically the same thing again, except not as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, how about they jump in a warp gate to a galaxy far, far away
Got it.
a long time ago.
So it's like a time
Baby
gate
Yoga's
and
there.
Baby Yoga.
The Mandalorian's there. Werner Herzog's
That's
there.
the guy that made the car with the wings? The Back to the Future dude?
Well, it's the
Cocaine
it's
Man?
named after the guy who
Okay.
made the car, yeah.
Yeah, DeLorean man. Sorry. What'd you say?
And then Han's there.
Han. Oh, I know Han's
Oh,
alive.
hell
so,
yeah.
All right.
If Han's there,
Fucking if
Yeah.
Han- yeah.
let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift 2.
Why was there never
There
a
it
good
is.
Fast and Furious game?
I closed this
Because you just drive. Like a good Fast and the Furious game, just like set against the modern ones,
Yeah.
would have to be like a heist game and all this other cool shit.
That would be really cool.
It would have to be. It would be too expensive to make, so no one would make it good. So they wouldn't make it.
Well, I mean,
It would,
okay,
it would be a mobile game where you have buttons marked family and heist, and you have to touch them both within a certain time frame to keep the family.
I got a bonus Statham.
Yeah.
My multiplier has gone up sevenfold.
I got a 4-star Statham here, and I'm throwing him away because fuck that guy.